Oh my gosh.
I see
Wait,
them.
Today all day, you're here. Thank you for returning. We see you and we want to thank you because you guys are spending the last day of August with us.
That's a good looking crowd, by the way. You are back for another episode of our digital show, Today in 30. It's another busy day here at Studio 1A. Here's what's coming up. We're going to take you inside that race to reach and rescue people who are still trapped in the aftermath of Ida. Also, the ongoing flood threat that now extends all the way from the south to New England.
And then the tributes around the world to Princess Diana. It happens to be the 24th anniversary of her death. And the rare move by the royal family to let the public honor her inside the gates of Kensington Palace. We'll have a live report from London.
Plus, one man's trash is another man's treasure collection. Meet the sanitation worker who's giving new life to the things that he finds on the job.
And all rise, because Kitchen Court, it's in session. Jenna and I are going to help you solve your family's biggest house cleaning debate. So what do you say we get started? Because it's time for
Today in 30.
We do begin with NBC's Sam Brock. He's in hard-hit Laplace, that's in St. John the Baptist Parish, about 25 miles west of New Orleans. Sam, good morning.
Hoda, a little more than 24 hours after Hurricane Ida tore through this area of Louisiana, we're getting a fresh look on the ground and in the air of the footprint of disaster. Of course, Governor Edwards telling Hoda that the death toll is likely to rise after catastrophic damage. And guys, not far from where I'm standing right here, people were hiding in attics and leaping onto beds, holding out hope that they would be rescued.
This morning, a sobering look at Ida's devastation. Homes submerged in water as far as the eye can see, nearby roads completely washed out.
The ceiling in every room caved in, and it was unbelievable.
Desperate families waiting and praying for rescue.
It was bad. It was the worst thing ever.
The Louisiana National Guard already rescuing 282 people and 32 pets.
Just progressively got worse till it was ankles, knees, almost chest level. So we just put the dogs on the counters and then we climbed into the attic.
Water levels reaching heights many could not have imagined.
We had about 8 feet of water.
8 feet of water inside of your house.
Demolished water was past the couches.
The road has collapsed. Multiple cars are in there.
Overnight in neighboring Mississippi, a highway collapse involving multiple vehicles, killing at least 2 and injuring 10 others. Officials pointing to torrential rain and the impacts of Ida as a contributing factor. Back in Louisiana, many residents now struggling just for the basics. This line for gas stretching down the street as a mangled transformer dangles above the cars. In New Orleans, an eerie quiet as hundreds of thousands remain without power. Residents in the hardest hit areas could have outages for weeks. And officials warning conditions are still very dangerous, including possible alligator-infested floodwaters. In Slidell, a 71-year-old man is missing after being attacked by an alligator and losing his arm. Farther west, Ida's wrath flexed in the form of crumpled roofs and twisted trees.
In a show of force, the wind was so strong in Gramercy, Louisiana, it was enough to tip over an 18-wheel tractor trailer, and not just one, but 3 tractor trailers in one parking lot.
But out of so much devastation emerge moments of hope. The nurses inside the neonatal intensive care unit at Ochsner Health Hospital volunteering to stay through the night with newborn babies who so desperately need them.
My team pulls together. Doesn't matter what's happening, they're going to make sure that the babies are taken care of and that their team members are taken care of.
At Children's Hospital New Orleans, the physician-in-chief there saying that so many of his young doctors and nurses took their young families and kids to safer cities like Atlanta and Birmingham, then came back into lockdown in New Orleans to care for their patients overnight. Many of them, guys, still have not seen their own homes, even now. Back to you.
Somehow, Sam, that does not surprise me how incredible those folks are. All right, Sam, thank you.
That's what they do. Let's bring in Al Roker now. Mr. Roker down in New Orleans once again with more on the situation there and what we can all expect from Ida as that storm moves inland on a path to the northeast. Al, good morning.
Well, guys, we are still going to be dealing with the effects of Ida, and now it's making its way to the north. And so here's what we're looking at. Right now, Ida, a tropical depression, 190 miles south-southwest Nashville, Tennessee, 30-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving northeast at 12 miles per hour. Today, it's going to merge with a front that's up to its north. The combined moisture is going to produce torrential rainfall. Tomorrow, rainfall rates moving into the northeast out of the Tennessee River Valley, 2 to 3 inches per hour with this system. Morning rain is going to be heavy for the northeast, the morning rush. That rain will move out to sea by the afternoon and evening, but not before causing some massive flooding. 71 million people are under flood watches or flood warnings stretching from the Gulf all the way up into the northeast and New England. Rainfall amounts, we're talking some places picking up locally 8 inches of rain. New York City could see a month's worth of rain in just one day, but that rainfall, that heavy rain stretching from Boston all the way back to Atlanta. We are going to be watching this very, very closely as that rain continues to fall all over already saturated rain.
Al Roker for us once again down in New Orleans. Al, thank you.
Hi, I'm Al Roker here in New Orleans. Today in 30, a lot of technology is coming into play now. This is a dehumidifier, a giant industrial dehumidifier, and all of this to try to dry out hotels and places where people are working because there's no air conditioning. This is a very humid place, and so they are getting work done here to try and make sure air conditioning is up and running. They're bringing in portable generators, all that and more, while the power grid is kind of suffering, but they intend to make sure stuff gets done. And by the way, this is our little neck of the woods here where we're getting stuff done for the Today Show and all the platforms of NBC. I'm Al Roker. That is Today in 30.
Yeah, today actually marks 24 years since Princess Diana died in a Paris car crash, and people have gathered at Kensington Palace to honor her.
NBC's Kelly Kobiea is there for us. Kelly, good morning to you.
Guys, good morning to you. The brothers, Prince William and Prince Harry, are said to be marking this day privately. But here at Kensington Palace, which is usually closed today, they're opening the gates to the Sunken Garden later this afternoon so that people can visit that new statue dedicated to Diana. This morning, a solemn anniversary. 24 years after Princess Diana's death, people are remembering her life.
Diana will always be a lasting figure. She was a great philanthropist. She was a person who moved the dial on many social issues. But at the same time also, she's the mother of the next but one King of England.
Diana was 36 years old, the most photographed woman in the world, when she died in a car crash in a Paris tunnel August 31st, 1997. Sons William and Harry were just 15 and 12. Her tragic story still resonating today, with Spencer, a new movie imagining her life, due out in November, and the fictionalized drama The Crown, still a hit on Netflix. It comes at a turbulent time for Diana's sons. Prince William and Prince Harry last together in July on what would have been their mother's 60th birthday to unveil a statue in her honor at Kensington Palace, with high hopes it would bring the brothers closer again. In a new version of Sussex biography Finding Freedom, released today, the authors claim Harry saw his grandfather, Prince Philip's funeral as a chance to heal family rifts. That Harry booked a one-way ticket because he didn't know how the trip would pan out. And there was a feeling that the trip might also present an opportunity to come together and talk without the filter of go-betweens. The authors say the chat between the brothers outside the chapel was their first face-to-face conversation in 15 months. And they went on to have at least 2 further conversations. And that Prince Harry also spoke to his father, Prince Charles, but their problems remain unresolved. As Prince William and Kate carry on with royal duties, Prince Harry and Meghan are expanding their growing private empire, and Finding Freedom authors say entering a new era of visibility with multi-million-dollar speaking, streaming, and publishing deals. Finding Freedom's authors also claiming the two have no regrets. They add Harry and Meghan have reinvented the fairy tale romance, with a self-made independent woman playing an equal role alongside her knight.
A spokesperson for the Sussexes have said that they did not collaborate on this book, that they were not interviewed for it, that this is all based on reporting by the authors. Guys?
And Kelly, that book you mentioned also has some new details about a recent meeting between Prince Harry and the Queen. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, so the authors claim that Prince Harry had a very special reunion with the Queen back in April when he was here for his grandfather's funeral, that he has the utmost respect and love for his grandmother despite everything that's happened over the past year, and that he regards her as sort of as an inspiration for his own life of service. Guys?
I believe that. All right, Kelly, thank you.
As you can imagine, with power out and with all sorts of issues, food insecurity becomes a big problem. Well, one of the people we know who has been dealing with that on a regular basis has been our friend Chef Jose Andres, and you run the World Central Kitchens with a terrific staff. You just got back from Haiti, and you're here now. How are you doing, and what are people looking for when they come into the kitchens?
Well, we always try to move into the city, the region, before the hurricane hits. So we already had close to 20 people at World Central Kitchen, besides all the amazing volunteers on New Orleans that we've been working with them through this entire pandemic. So for us is two things. Make sure that we have kitchens with generators, and more important, that we have refrigerators full of food. That's why hours after the hurricane leave, we are able to start cooking, and more important, start looking for the communities and the people that need our help with food.
How do you find the food? I mean, I understand you were able to scrounge up like 20,000 pieces of fruit before things had even finished up here.
And even more, we have hundreds of thousands. Fruit is not going to be an issue for us for the next week. Why? Because you look for the local businesses. You look for the people that are already waiting for you. What happened? You cannot call them, you cannot order online. You have to go to them. So the first thing I did with some of my team members was looking for those companies. We found them, and we began bringing in tens of thousands of bananas and apples, cheese and ham.
Local
bread.
chefs helping out too, right?
Many local chefs. I mean, the chefs of New Orleans, the chefs of Louisiana, the chefs of America, the chefs of the world. They are always there for their communities. So many chefs, what they do when their refrigerator goes out, their freezer, they share. They began coming to our main kitchen here in a place called Gnocchi, amazing, and began giving us the big loads of things they had in the freezer. So we are plenty ready with food.
And you're not just doing it here in New Orleans, you're doing it in other places in Louisiana.
Well, we already have kitchens ready to go if necessary, like Baton Rouge. We always try to do not only one city, but the entire area. Yesterday, I spent the rest of my day driving all the way to Houma. I went all the way to Petit Caillou, where we began feeding the local police, the local firemen. We found a shelter that nobody told us about, was around 100 people inside. That's what we began doing. Going into the communities all the way 1-2 hours from our centralized kitchen until we can put a kitchen maybe in those areas closer to them, even bringing food trucks that give us the possibility to be feeding the communities right there. That's what we do, searching for the people. We saw it in Puerto Rico. Day 1, day 2, people still have some food. Day 3, when the businesses are not open, the restaurants are not open, the supermarkets are not open, people have no money because ATMs don't work, people don't have a car with gas to search for the food. It's very important that we cover those people in hotels with no light, with no food, those communities far away, maybe police, maybe firefighters that they are working on the stop and they need a plate of food. This is the types of things we try to do. More NGOs that do food are going to be coming in the next days and they're going to be joining us, but we'll always love to be at the very beginning so we can have a very quick reaction. Food cannot wait.
Right.
People must eat today.
Hunger doesn't
wait. Not next month.
Right.
That's why we love to be next to the people from the first second.
If people want to help, how do they do it?
Listen, there's many organizations local that they can be supporting, but World Central Kitchen, we always feel we are local because we are with locals. So go to worldcentralkitchen.org and there you're going to see plenty of ways to be helping for Louisiana or the many other actions we have in other parts of America and around the world.
Chef Jose Andres, thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate you doing God's work.
I need to go to cook at the Today Show very quickly with all of you people.
We want you back.
I miss you.
When you get the work done, you come on in.
You're supposed to tell me, and I miss you too, Jose.
We miss you, too.
Guys, he's going to come cook for us.
Good.
Great. He's such a good
Anytime.
guy. I remember I did stories about him during COVID.
invitation. Al, stay safe out there, buddy. Thank you. Thank you as always.
All right. Thanks, guys.
This morning in our Collectors series, we are introducing you to a retired sanitation worker who found a passion through his job.
And he says we can all learn something from the unusual collection he's put together.
NBC News Now, Joe Anchor.
Joe Anchor.
NBC News Now.
That's a good name.
It's fine. Joe Fryer, you like that?
Just go Joe Anchor.
You know what? Joe Anchor it is.
Joe Anchor.
Joe Anchor's here.
All right, I'm here to talk about Nelson Molina. He calls it one of the greatest jobs in the world. Not an anchor. For 34 years, he was a New York City sanitation worker, which meant he literally collected your trash. Some of it he kept and curated, creating something you've got to see to believe.
It's hard to find the words to describe what's on the second floor of this sanitation department garage.
As soon as they come into the building, I see the expression on their face like, wow.
Wow is certainly one word that characterizes all the stuff Nelson Molina has compiled. From nostalgic toys.
There's RoboCop.
RoboCop, then you got Wonder Woman over there, you got the Fire Department over there, Spider-Man.
To musical memories.
It's like a walk through history here. You get the 8-track, you get the 45s, you got the cassettes.
A word you likely would not use for all these wistful whatnots is garbage. Yet all of this was once just that. Refuse Nelson could not refuse.
What do you call this?
I call this treasures in the trash.
It's a museum of sorts filled with things once sentenced to garbage bags on street curbs, only to be exonerated by a sanitation worker with a peculiar gift for finding cool stuff.
I got these sensors. I developed these sensors that I know there's something inside the bag. My coworker said, how do you know that? I said, I just listen to it. I listen to the music that this bag gives me.
Nelson started developing that sixth sense when he was just 9.
I would go like 2 weeks before Christmas. So I know everybody's throwing all their old toys out. Even if the toys were broken, I would take them home and try to fix them up in the house.
To his siblings, he was Santa.
I had a passion for it. You know, my mother always told me never throw anything out if somebody else can use it. So I just went from there and it turned into what you see now.
During his 34-year career, Nelson salvaged some 50,000 items, knickknacks spared from the landfill and brought to this 20,000 square foot space.
The way you've organized it, it really is a museum, isn't it?
Yeah, to me it is, yes, exactly. That's what I want it to be. That's my dream.
Technically, it's not a museum yet, but Maggie Lee with the Sanitation Foundation hopes to find space for Nelson's collection so the public can see it. Perhaps rethink not just what they waste, but who they give their waste to.
Sanitation work can be very invisible, can be underappreciated, but it's very, very, grueling work. It's hard work. It's very dangerous work. And I want people to be more appreciative of the men and women who do that for us.
Like Nelson.
Yes.
And Nelson's son followed in Dad's footsteps, working for the sanitation department. Here in the museum, you'll also find an item that reminds Nelson of his dad.
You can feel how heavy it is.
A Star of David made of metal from the World Trade Center. When Nelson sees it, he thinks of the days after 9/11 when he was working at the collapse site, but suddenly had to leave because his father was rushed to the hospital.
My father was in critical condition. Excuse me. So 3 days later, he passes away.
Memories of his dad quickly come flooding back.
Excuse me for my tears, but it's okay. Every time I talk about that story, I get like this.
That one item found in the trash just proves Nelson's point. One doesn't need a map to find treasure. It's all around us, even where you least expect.
Nelson is now 68 years old. He's been retired for a few years. These days spends more time with his grandkids, less time curating the museum. But the hope is that public tours for Treasures in the Trash will start again in a couple months and that the Sanitation Museum, an actual museum, becomes a reality in the coming years.
Wow, I love that. Cool idea. I love that he gets a feeling, before he opens a bag. He just knows which ones have the
sound between like a beer bottle and a vase.
Wow.
You asked a good question during the story there. This idea that
Are you allowed to take people's trash?
He's not taking it for himself, so
Okay.
yeah, you're not. So it's part of this broader thing he's put together.
Okay. And if I put it outside, I mean,
That's a fascinating story,
Yeah,
Joe.
so good.
Joe Anchor.
Joe Anchor is here.
Formerly known as Joe Fryer. Thank you.
It's time to solve all your household dilemmas. Kitchen Court's in session with Judge Jill.
Yeah, our pal Jill Bauer, the creator of JustJill.com, has the final ruling on everything from streak-free windows to hanging toilet paper. Take a look.
Let's start off with Heidi from Indiana, and she wrote us this, Jill. How often should I replace the kitchen sponge and towels, those old, gnarly things?
Only old and gnarly in your house.
Yes.
All right, well, good morning, ladies. And here's my ruling when it comes to towels and sponges. So for towels, if you have towels that are ripping like this, like they really have no place in your kitchen, right? So these are things, think about donating them. Animal shelters are always looking for towels. If they smell funky, guess what? That's odor bacteria in there. If you've tried to wash it and you just can't get that stink out of the towels, they need to get out.
Okay, bye-bye. How about the sponges?
Okay, sponges. People are always like saying, like, I'm using it to wipe down all of these things. So how often should I be replacing them? Again, it's the smell test. If your sponge is smelling after a couple of days, you need to get rid of it. Now, you can do a couple of things to kind of and help inhibit the growth of the bacteria. You can surface wash it, but again, that doesn't get into all of the core of the sponge. You can also give it a sanitary wash in your dishwasher or put a wet sponge, keyword there, wet sponge, in your microwave for 2 minutes. That can help and give you the ability to use your sponge throughout the course of the week. But really, I think max for sponges, max 2 weeks, and it's time for a new one.
Oh, no. I keep how long do you keep your sponge for?
Oh, we've had ours since
2 years.
Yeah, months and months.
Okay, so So your
Time for
final
new.
ruling.
Final ruling. Don't hang on to those sponges for too long. Again, do the smell test. Try to clean them a little, but after about 2 weeks, think of all the stuff this is touching. You don't want that wiping all over your kitchen.
Okay, Jill, let's move to the hardwood floors. Here's a question. Can I vacuum to clean hardwood floors? Debbie in Illinois wants to know this.
So I don't have a problem using a vacuum on hardwood floors, except that it needs to be a vacuum that doesn't have a brush roll or gives you the ability to turn off the brush roll, because that brush is going to be creating microscopic scratches on those beautiful hardwood floors. So put it on a non-brush mode where you still get the suction, and then I have no problem using your vacuum on your hardwood floors.
Okay, and how about fake wood? You can use it if you want.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's also attachments that you can get for your vacuums. So maybe instead of the, brush roll, there's a softer one, and that might be a better option.
Okay, cool. So your ruling is yes, but be careful.
Yes, exactly.
Let's talk about cleaning mirrors and windows.
Yeah.
I mean, I spray them, and I can't. There's always streaks.
Yeah, so a lot of the streaks come from perhaps the cloth or paper towel that you might be using to clean them. I've said this before in Kitchen Court and other segments. I'm a huge fan of microfiber cloths. And when you use microfiber, you just need to use water. And all of the little fibers, I mean, there's thousands of them, that's helping to lift off the dirt and the grime. So my ruling would be, if you really want a streak-free shine on windows and mirrors and no lint left behind, microfiber is the way to go.
Hey, Jill, I have one question. I used to do car washes when we were kids to make money, and we always wadded up newspaper in a big ball and wiped the windows. Yes, and it seemed like it was streak-free. Does that work too?
So it helps with streaks, Hoda, but the thing about using newspaper in your home windows is sometimes the black ink will bleed onto the frame.
On the frame,
of the window. And once that gets there, now it's going to be even harder to clean the windows, and I like to keep things simple.
You probably got on the frame of some people's cars.
Well, too bad, because they paid $6. Okay, so, all right. So we got to get to this over-under debate. Chelsea Handler had the question. So the question is it over with the toilet paper, or is it under?
Yeah, Beth in Washington, and really all of us want to know.
All of America.
Let's
so
just hope you rule with us, please, Jill.
Okay, so here's the thing. I actually have legal documentation from the 1890s, which is when the patent for a toilet paper roll was filed. And in those drawings of the patent for a toilet paper roll, the paper was over. So that is the final verdict.
That was fun. So much fun. We should do it again tomorrow.
All right, let's do it.
We'll see you.
We're going to enter the month of September, and we're going to give you a lineup of the best books to read.
And we also have some great solutions for you if you're feeling anxious about heading back to the office after working from home for so long.
Okay, bye. See you tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.